But turning back now to the shooting that took place outside of Chicago in Highland Park, Illinois. 7 were killed, dozens wounded. Our Newsmax correspondent Sarah Williamson is live for us in the newsroom this morning with more. Sarah?
Well, Emma, the suspect in Monday's deadly mass shooting in Highland Park had threatened to kill everyone with knives and swords back in 2019, raising the question of just how Robert Crimo was able to obtain an FOID card in 2020. Now, this card was given to Crimo just 4 months after the Highland Park police were called to his home after he threatened to kill his family. Now, a clear and present danger report was made by the police in response to these threats, but the report indicates that when the police went to the home and asked the individual if he felt like harming himself or others, he responded no. Further to this, Crimo's father claimed the knives were his and that they were being stored in the individual's closet for safekeeping. It has been revealed that Bobby Crimo passed 4 different background checks between June of 2020 and September of 2021, and that the only thing that came up was a violation from way back in 2016 for possessing tobacco. Now, Illinois State Police said that the family didn't tell law enforcement of any mental health concerns, no firearms restraining orders, and no one had asked for any orders of protections. They also had no mental health prohibitor reports submitted by healthcare facilities or personnel. But state police said that because the family didn't raise those concerns when Crimo went and applied for the FOID card just a few months later, there was insufficient evidence to deny him. Now, not only did the family not raise those concerns, his father actually sponsored this application, a requirement for applicants under the age of 21. Now, another concern, Emma, was those extensive online presence that he has, these haunting music videos that you can see now, depicting school shootings, being shot by the police, and other violent messages. And these videos, they didn't go unnoticed. He had racked up millions of views on YouTube, and not to mention the other platforms that he had a large presence on. So it really does make you wonder, where were the police? Why was there not an eye on him earlier? Because perhaps this could have been prevented. Emma?
Yeah, police, family, friends, anyone who would have tuned in and see those disturbing images. Sarah
Absolutely.
Williamson with the latest there. Sarah, thank you. Joining us now with reaction is Republican Congressman of Texas, Air Force veteran Pat Fallon. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on National Report today. I just wanted to get your comment, of course, on this news, this terrible shooting on July 4th. The parade shooting suspect purchasing 5 weapons despite those threats, consisting of wanting to kill everyone at his home in 2019, also wanting to commit suicide later this year. But get this, the state police saying, quote, there was insufficient basis to establish a clear and present danger at the time. Congressman, what do you make of that?
Well, Emma, thanks for having me on. This is such a tragedy. And again, as you said, it could have been prevented. I'm really disappointed and heartbroken that the family didn't step up, because he clearly was a danger. I mean, it seems the police got there and the family said, oh, he's fine, he's not going to harm anyone. And he said that as well. But then what were the police doing at his home? Clearly, he was a threat to his family and to the public. And this, again, could have been prevented. If the laws that are already on the books were enforced, he probably wouldn't have obtained firearms, at least legally.
I wanted to ask you about that, because we've heard so much following these mass shootings that we've seen recently. There have been calls on Congress to act, right, to come forward with legislation that would prevent these shootings from happening again. We saw recently the president signing this bipartisan so-called gun safety bill into law there. Might not have applied in this case, because clearly this individual was still able to obtain the weapon. But what do you think of it going forward, sir? And is there more that Congress can do to step up?
Well, if Congress, we don't want to disarm law-abiding citizens either. That seems to be the Democrats' answer, is to just simply take guns away from nearly everyone, or make it incredibly difficult for law-abiding citizens to own firearms, because we're all safer when law-abiding citizens have firearms. And I don't, quite frankly, want the federal government to be involved in this. I'd like to see the states. I think this is, quite frankly, an issue that should be addressed state by state, provided those states do not infringe upon the Second Amendment rights because those are constitutionally protected rights of our citizens.
Sure. Maybe the expanded background check for those underage might have applied to this individual case. We'll have to wait and see, of course, how the bipartisan law will be implemented going forward here. If we could, sir, let's pivot now to another topic that's really impacting your community, this being the southern border. We saw yesterday several counties in Texas declaring an invasion during the border crisis, and they want the Texas governor to also recognize it. What do you make of your fellow Texans? I know you don't represent these counties in particular here, but really calling on Governor Abbott to act.
Well, you know what? I think they're great Americans. And Emma, let's just look at the tale of the tape, if you will, and ask you and your viewers, is this an invasion? We had, since Joe Biden took office, 2.9 million illegal border crossings, 700,000 known gotaways. So that's 3.6 million people in a year and a half. That's more than the population of 22 United States. We had the record number of illegal border crossings in April, all-time high of 234,000. But it was only broken when May's numbers came out, and it was 240,000. Now, to put that in context, the last time President Trump was in office in April and May, it increased tenfold. It was 1,258% increase year over year for the 2 years in April, and 930% in May. So clearly, the border has the crossings have exploded. It's a de facto open border because of Joe Biden's failed left-wing and really far left policies. So I think it is an invasion. I would encourage the governor to declare that and expose the fact that the federal government and Joe Biden have abdicated their responsibility. It's a gross dereliction of duty, and something needs to be done.
Yeah, and again, these are local counties as well. You've got local sheriffs who are stepping up and calling on the governor to act just so they can get additional assistance that they need for their men and women who are servicing their communities. I want to stay on the border for a second. The Daily Caller reporting this. Some Republicans in Congress are looking for answers as to why the Biden administration is purging Trump immigration judges. One of those saying, quote, "The dismissal of immigration judges on purely political grounds is unprecedented, and it should cause concern for anyone who values border security and the rule of law." These are some of your GOP colleagues who are asking the president and his administration about why this is happening now. What do you think about this, Congressman?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'd seen that letter, I would have signed on to it too, because we're in desperate need of immigration judges. When you have this many people crossing the border, we had 1,060,000 pounds of narcotics seized on the border. That's how wide open it is right now. The drug cartels are making record profits. 7,000 pounds of fentanyl were seized, which is enough to kill every man, woman, and child about 10 times over. And, Joe Biden has incentivized folks to come across the border illegally when he doesn't enforce the migrant protection protocols, the Wait Mexico, better known as the Wait Mexico policy. And so unfortunately, it's going to get even worse. It's far worse now than it was last year when some of the mainstream media actually covered it. It's not a border crisis. It's a border catastrophe. And we desperately need these immigration judges to process this record number of illegal crossings.
All right. We'll keep an eye on this story. Of course, Newsmax is there, and we're live from the border pretty frequently. And we appreciate you taking the time this morning. That is Texas Congressman Pat Fallon joining us, sir. Thanks so much.
God bless.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.